Hello and welcome. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. This is 5 Live. Today we bring to you a story as a top focus that will shake up the human inside of you. What can a person do in their limits for their lust of power? Well, in Maharashtra, for a Sarpanch election, a man has taken away the life of his own daughter. Why did that happen? What compelled him to do so? All of that and much more coming up on the program. What do people do? To what extent do they go to fight an election in India? They spend money, they use influence, they bend rules. Sometimes they even commit crimes. But the next story crosses a line very few can even imagine. In Maharashtra's Nanded district, a man murdered his own daughter, not in rage, not in desperation, but to qualify for an election. A 28-year-old man, a barber by profession, dreamed of becoming a sarpanch of his village. The panchayat elections were due in June. He believed he could win, but one rule stood in his way. Under the Maharashtra Panchayat Raj Act, candidates must have only 2 children. This man had 3, a son and twin daughters. You can only imagine who he would sacrifice, right? So instead of abandoning his ambition, he chose to abandon humanity altogether. Police are saying that this man, along with his friend Ganesh Shinde, plotted to eliminate one of his own children. It was 6-year-old Prachi, the elder of the twins, who became the target. Adoption was discussed but ruled out because her birth certificate already existed. So the solution they chose really was to murder their own child. So what did this Sarpanch aspirant do? He took his daughter Prachi on a motorcycle to Telangana's Nizamabad district, apparently pushed her into a canal with his own hands and fled, hoping that it would look like an accident. Locals heard it, the splash, rushed to the spot, but by then the damage was already done. The child had died. Before she could have been rescued, anything could have been done really. But the plan to make it look like an accident, that failed. The father currently is behind bars, booked for murder and conspiracy. Even the sitting village head has been arrested for alleged involvement in the crime. He apparently guided him. They found a trace of messages where they are plotting the whole scheme, what to do, thinking about how to actually manage this whole thing. But this entire episode, it begs to ask a question. What kind of politics turns a father into a killer of his own child? How does this happen? Why is this happening in a country like ours, where we hold family, integrity, morals to such high grounds? Before we move on further on this story, if you are tuning in live or any of our platforms and watching this, you have a comment, please do send us that. Meanwhile, let me cut across to my colleague Abdul Bashir, who joins us for more on this. Abdul, I don't have words. I can't believe a father for an election of a sarpanch is willing today in our country to, push his own child into death. What more do we know about him? Is he mentally sick? What about the family? Did the wife not protest?
Very.
What happened here?
Well, the basic information that we get is this man, namely Panduranga, he has been alleged of murdering his own daughter just to fight an election or get away with a 2 children or a 2-child norm that was set up in Maharashtra. Now, he has bought his daughter, who was very much, keen on going on tours, traveling with her father, going out districts. She was very much interested in moving out. In a similar manner, he took her along, moved out from the state of Maharashtra towards Telangana. In Nizamabad is where he bought her. In Nizamabad district's Sagar, the Nizamabad canal near Edapalli is where he bought her and then pushed her into the canal, is what the preliminary investigation say. Well, after the body of this girl was found, an investigation was launched. And during the probe, it was found out that this man, Panduranga, had plotted this murder. He himself brought the child on his vehicle towards Nizamabad, and he himself committed this crime. In while investigation, it was also found that the sitting Sarpanch, Ganesh Shinde, was the one who has given this idea, or who was the one who had discussed with him regarding this particular action. Now, here, the police have arrested both Panduranga and Ganesh Shinde for murdering this child who has she had been found dead in that particular canal then,
Yeah,
and then investigation was done,
sure.
and now they are behind the bars. Now this is a straight question that is put forward: what extent can a family of a father go just to fight an election of sarpanch, where the three among the three daughters, one has been killed just to be eligible to contest a Sarpanch election. Now, one
All
girl
right.
who has been lost, the police here investigated the matter and put out all the shocking details that have come up after this particular incident. Over to you.
All right, Abdul, thanks so much for bringing us that story. Let me cut across to my guest now. Joining me now is Poonam Mutreja. She's the Executive Director for Population Foundation of India. Also with us today is Tara Deshpande. She's an author and actor as well. Poonam, I can't wrap my head around the story. What's going on in our society? How much do we lust power that we're ready to kill our own kids? I mean, and I fail to understand how, and it's not a knee jerk reaction, it's not something, he planned for this, he plotted for this. He was, talking to the present sitting Sarpanch over there and thinking of ways in which he would kill his own child. I mean, I don't know how to make sense of this.
It's very hard to make sense of this. It's numbing. When I read this report, I felt we reached a new low in not just hunger for power, but for killing a child, for becoming a sarpanch. If we look at this through the lens of hunger of power, it's important to recognize how policy itself shapes that hunger. When eligibility to contest elections are linked to a two-child norm, political ambition becomes entangled with family size, and the pressure to remain eligible can push individuals to destroy their families. And the tragedy is that Maharashtra, the the fertility levels are 1.7, and they brought this law in 2005, and they're below replacement level, and they have this law, and this law is a disincentive for women and children across the country. There is research, 5 states, another 5 states which
But
have this
Poonam, can I
two-child
just
norm.
pause you over there? I mean, for a minute, can we set the law aside? Like, what kind of humanity are we becoming? What kind of
you know
citizens are we? Yes, we can debate about the law being right or wrong, but is that? I mean, I just, like I said, I don't know how to make sense of this. Who are these kind of people? Are
these
they
are
mentally not well? Who are these families who are allowing this to happen? Because remember, in this case, the family has not gone to complain.
I know,
They did
but
not, the mother has not gone to complain. Or probably
this
she doesn't know. We
is
don't know what the truth here is.
no, but this is where the lack of power that women suffer, including losing their children. This is a murder, but we are constantly doing sex selection. You think women want to do it? No. It is the social norms and the men, I'm afraid, that make these decisions. It shows not just a son preference. This shows that we have a hatred almost for a girl child. This is the worst thing that has happened in at least my understanding of the law or the social norms. But
Yeah.
people have abandoned their children in the past, or wives, to get this. We are a society whose social norms and way of thinking really needs to change. And when the law does not do it, I can't help raising, because I'll tell you why,
I get your
Sonal.
point.
I'm
No, I get
saying
your
what
point.
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Sonal, I'm saying this because for 20 years, I have relentlessly fought this two-child norm because it discriminates against girls and women, and children have been given for adoption. Nirmala Butch, a senior bureaucrat, did this study. I am pained because nobody listened and did, except 5 states that did do away with the two-child norm. What is Maharashtra doing? I am afraid the weak, while it is horrendous what this man did, but society,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just
I know,
numbed.
I know. I'm echoing your sentiment there. Let me bring in Tara Deshpande here. Tara Deshpande, last 2 days, if I look at the two stories that really shook me up, one was a father raping his own child. The second is this one. But like Poonam said, we now understand, after having covered gender for so long, I understand that rape, when it comes against kids, is not about pleasure, it's about exerting power. This situation as well is about also lust for power. How far, how damaged are we and how damaged are men in our society, especially, and I'm not talking about the middle class, which seems to be the only one with the moral compass left, the only one which exercises any kind of right and wrong, the only one which is paying taxes. I'm not even talking about that. This is happening in our villages, in India 2, India 3, Bharat 2, Bharat 3, as they say it. To what extent will men go to exert power, to remain in power?
This was obviously an extremely tragic event, and as I was trying to look it up and see if it's happened in the past, I wasn't able to find any other situations in which something this specific has occurred in the past. So I was quite grateful to see that. But the killing of children in India, especially the girl child, whether it's female infanticide or it's domestic violence, it's happening on a daily basis. It's not new that a parent has buried their child alive because they don't want to have another girl child. The problem in India is that women have a very low status. They are still treated as if they're cattle or as if they're property. It's like, we're still living in parts of the Vedic age where it's believed that the life of a woman or of a girl child is less valuable than that of a man, that she has less of a right to live. And it is seriously concerning, no doubt. This law also, which was introduced as late as my the other
As
speaker
Poonam said, yeah, yeah.
Poonam said very correctly, was introduced in 2005. I understand population control was so necessary in India at a time when poverty was at unprecedented levels. Malnutrition was a huge issue, but malnutrition continues to be an issue in Maharashtra even today. And if you live in a democracy, you have to recognize that the right to have children is a natural birthright. Uh, it seems kind of contradictory for us to be telling people that you can only have 2 children to run an election to get a position in the panchayat. Similarly, what if we had the reverse law and said that those running for office have to have 2 children and be married in order to run for office? That would be ridiculous too. So I'm really wondering whether that law is necessary anymore because, the replacement rate 2.1, we have fallen way below that now at 1.6, 1.7. So either you get rid of this law or increase the number of children people can have. I don't know what choices our government will make.
I'm just thinking, I never thought I would read news like this. I would have to report on a news like this where a man has killed her own child, not for money, not for dowry, not for honor killing, not for this and that, because we thought we'd seen it all in India. But this has to be a first. For contesting, he's not even sure that he's going to become the sarpanch. Just to contest, he's willing to sacrifice his own child. Like, that's how cheap life is in India. That's how compromised a woman, child, a girl
But if you
child
look
is
at
in
past,
India as well. It's just,
you look at
just
past
crazy.
history, kings did it all the time. They kill their brothers, they kill their siblings.
But we
It's
do
not
it
as if
today
human beings aren't
too.
capable. One hopes that the system does not allow them to think like this or does not allow
Let
them to
Poonam
become like
respond
this.
to that. Poonam?
But look, we do female infanticide as well as feticide all the time, and the middle class too. In Delhi, infanticide is the highest. So we just have to we have to do something spectacularly tough on not just this man, but on the um, on the not just killings, but the rapes, the all of this that women are suffering, and killing a little girl is a new law, as was said, and we've got to, not just getting rid of the two-child norm, but we've got to put in place solutions, as well as uh, b- strict behavior, social norms which absolutely cannot violate young girls or
Yeah.
women. It is a package.
Yeah.
It happens in so many different ways, and it
Yeah.
is time for us, for this
Yeah.
country, not only to hang our head in shame, but do something about it. And the men also need to
Yeah.
step in. And I'm afraid I am not going to accept any more laws that lead to also
Yeah.
such
In some form or
horrendous
the other. Yeah.
acts. This is a time, and
Yeah.
this tragic as this incident is, we must do something immediately, and the country has to come
A lot
together
to
to
think
do
about,
something.
a lot to learn from this. And you're right, we need to hang our heads in shame. This is not the society India prides itself into. But for the moment, Poonam and Tara, thank you so much for joining us on this very, very important news. All right, cutting across to some news coming in. This is DGCA issuing a statement now in the Air India fuel switch row. The DGCA has now issued a statement saying that both left and right switches were checked and found satisfactory, with the locking tooth, the pole fully seated and not splitting from run to cut off. Now, when the full force was applied parallel to the base plate, the switch remained secure. Now, all these details, basically, what is the context to this? Remember that just a couple of days ago, there was another case flagged off by a pilot who was on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and said that there was a problem with the switch. Now, post that flagging off, there had been an alert that had been sounded off, and there were checks going on. So what exactly has happened? Let's get an update from my colleague Shreya Chatterjee, now joining us for the very latest. Shreya, take us through what exactly is DGCA saying at the moment. They're saying, yes, there is a concern on these switches, but on that particular aircraft, that was not the case. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely. Now, this is a huge turnaround that's now coming in from the DGCA, where they're clearly saying that on the third attempt, the switch latched correctly in run and it remained stable. So, in the initial two occasions that they are mentioning, that the crew had observed that the fuel control switch did not remain positively latched, but when there was some vertical pressure that was applied, the switches were found to be latched. Now, the technicalities of this is something that only the DGCA and the Air India engineering department is fit to answer, because remember, they've also carried out a sweep of security check across their Dreamliner fleet. That's something that we got a confirmation in the morning. And now the DGCA is saying that after a thorough check of this very aircraft is where it was found fit and fine. So clearly, we'll have to wait and watch, because inspections will still have to be carried out. And now, with the DGCA coming in saying that the DGCA officers were present.
Shreya, help me understand this. Is it true that DGCA has blamed the pilot over the fuel switch defect?
Well, not the exact words, but they're saying that the video that have been circulating on social media was analyzed in light of Boeing recommended procedures. And it was observed that the procedure demonstrated in the video was circulated incorrectly. So it's the video in concern which the DGCA is saying has been purportedly, misused in an incorrect manner to flag off the issue. But they're saying that the runoff switches in the third attempt latched on correctly, thereby saying that in their presence, when the inspection was carried out, the flight was found fit.
Right. Shreya, very quickly, for anybody taking a Dreamliner at the moment, what is the DGCA guideline? Is it safe to travel?
Well, obviously, because that is what they are implying right now. They're saying that the airline is being advised to circulate the Boeing recommended procedure for operation of fuel cut switches. So there was some operational error is what the DGCA is exactly pointing it out. And because there's an inspection that's also been carried out, it's like allaying the fear that was created after the news break yesterday. They are now saying this.
Sure. So let's give all our viewers a quick background into where the story is coming from. Well, remember months after the deadly Air India crash, the fuel switch scare has once again raised alarm. Now, the pilot on Air India flight reported a fuel control switch defect after landing, prompting the airline to actually ground the Boeing 787 aircraft. With concerns over the Ahmedabad Dreamliner crash as well still fresh, pilots have yet again warned of this very serious safety red flag. But what exactly happened here? Take a look at this report for more.
Months after the deadly Air India crash, the fuel switch scare is back to haunt the airline and flyers alike. One of the pilots on an Air India flight from London to Bengaluru reported a defeat in the fuel control switch after landing in Bengaluru. Air India has grounded the plane. The aircraft, like the one that crashed in Ahmedabad in June last year, was a Boeing 787. Air India has said that the matter has been communicated to the aviation watchdog DGCA. Earlier, following a DGCA directive, fuel control switches on all Boeing 787 aircraft in its fleet were inspected, but no issues were found. The airline has also flagged the issue to Boeing, which in response has supported Air India's review of the matter.
They should corroborate with the data, flying data recorder and other observations. But if you remember, even in 2018, there has been a recommendatory guidelines by Boeing and FAA about the sensitivity of fuel control mechanism. So we now need to look at it more seriously.
The scare brings back memories of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which crashed in Ahmedabad in June last year, killing 260 people. Preliminary probe had revealed that within seconds of takeoff, both engine fuel control switches were moved from run to cutoff. As per the cockpit recording, neither pilot knew who turned them off. The fuel control switches were turned back on 10 seconds later, but the engines failed to stabilize. The Pilots Association has now flagged that after the crash, it had repeatedly warned of fuel control switch malfunctions and stressed that all Boeing 787s needed inspection. Pilots have pointed out that the latest incident is history repeating itself and should be viewed as a warning.
This has happened a couple of times in many aircraft around the world. Yet, the Boeing has not found it appropriate to check the electrical systems. We have been stressing upon the need to check these electrical systems to avoid a further future accident or an incident.
Fuel control switches are designed to be fail-safe, and any possible defect can lead to catastrophic consequences. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, remember that the Ahmedabad Dreamliner crash was one of India's darkest aviation moments. The wide-body aircraft now losing power seconds after takeoff, engines failing silent, 260 lives lost. That tragedy is still raising some very difficult questions in front of us. It has shaken up a lot of confidence that people have in these Dreamliners as well. But a fresh development like this really puts everybody under the clock and really needs to sort of get our understanding of how deeply we need to investigate the whole matter and the crash as well. But what exactly happened? Let's quickly recap and jog your memory there. Now, Air India ordered a detailed check across Boeing 787 Dreamliner fleet from that London to Bengaluru flight when that pilot reported that something was off with that switch. But why is this switch so significant? Let's try and understand that. Now, the fuel control switch regulates the flow of the fuel into the engines. It's moved to cut off the engine's loose thrust almost immediately. And in the Ahmedabad crash sequence, investigations had already been examining why both switches appeared to move from run to cutoff moments after takeoff. Now, a separate operational incident has also forced airlines and engineers to look again at whether this issue could actually involve more than the cockpit action alone, meaning it's not just about, pilot switching it off, and that's why we kept showing you that video. They have to lift it up, then drag it down. Galti se nahi ho sakta hai. That was the whole deal, and no pilot would actually do that. The aircraft involved had been pulled from service, inspections were underway as well, and a lot of overhauling happened. So now there are reactions coming in from DGCA, from Boeing as well. So let's try and see how this entire episode is to be seen. But let's get a perspective from experts now. Devesh Agarwal, who's an aviation expert and founder for BengaluruAviation.com, joins us now. Devesh, I've tried to simplify what this switch actually does in whatever understanding we as non-experts have, but give us an insight into I'm just thinking as a layman, I'm just thinking as a flyer at the moment. One plane got down, the other one, a pilot is flagging issues as well. Is there a reason to get concerned?
Hello, good evening, and firstly, thank you for having me on your show. Yes, it is a reason for concern, and a simpler way I can explain the fuel cutoff switch. If you remember the old diesel engines, which used to have you had to because the diesel engine is kind of self-sustaining. It doesn't require a separate spark plug. So, not like a petrol engine, you just switch the key off and the engine stops. If you remember in the old days, the diesel engine, we used to have to pull out a choke, which literally, starved the engine of fuel and then the engine come to a stop. So the fuel cutoff switch sort of something like that in a jet engine. Jet engine per se doesn't have just an ignition that I turn the key and the engine gets switched off. So the only sort of switch off the engine is to starve the fuel.
Devesh, just Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is speaking. Let's just cut across to him very quickly.
हर भारतवासी देश भर में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का साधुवाद कर रहा है कि उन्होंने यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के साथ एक बहुत ही बढ़िया ट्रेड डील, जिसका देशवासियों को कई महीनों से इंतजार था, संपन्न किया है। देशहित और जनहित को सामने रखते हुए एक बड़ा मजबूत भारत के भविष्य को चार चांद लगाने वाला ट्रेड डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में कल रात फाइनलाइज किया गया है। मैं 140 करोड़ देशवासियों की तरफ से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का धन्यवाद करता हूं और आप सभी को बधाई देता हूं, क्योंकि ये वास्तव में भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को, भारत के 140 करोड़ नागरिकों को, हर गरीब, किसान, मछुआरा, गांव में रहने वाला युवा, युवती, हमारी बहनें, महिलाएं, सभी के लिए ढेर सारे अवसर लाने वाला ट्रेड डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कल तय किया। साधारणतः तो हम पार्लियामेंट में बोलना चाहते थे इसके बारे में, लेकिन हम सबने देखा वो भद्दा दृश्य, जिस प्रकार से विपक्ष, विशेषकर राहुल गांधी जी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनके मित्र पक्ष डीएमके, तृणमूल कांग्रेस, समाजवादी पार्टी, कितना भद्दा व्यवहार आज उन्होंने पार्लियामेंट में किया। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी की आसन तक पहुंचकर उनका अपमान किया। मैं घोर निंदा करता हूं विपक्ष की, राहुल गांधी जी की, जिसके कारण हम पार्लियामेंट के बदले आज आपके समक्ष यहां पे जानकारी देने आए हैं। हम सब जानते हैं कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपने मित्रता के रखते प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप के साथ जो उनके आत्मीय संबंध है, उसके मद्देनजर जो ट्रेड डील यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के साथ फाइनलाइज की है, वो हमारे सभी पड़ोसी, सभी आसपास के देश, सभी जो देश हमारे साथ स्पर्धा करते हैं, उन सभी देशों में सबसे बढ़िया डील भारत को मिली है। आप सबको, हम सबको मिली है, जो देशवासियों के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शुभ संकेत लाती है। हम सब जानते हैं, महीनों से हमारी नेगोशिएटिंग टीम्स यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के अधिकारियों के साथ, मंत्रियों के साथ लगातार डायलॉग बनाए हुए थी, बातचीत में कर रही थी। कई सारे जटिल विषय थे, कई सारी समस्याएं थी। भारत के ऊपर 50% रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ लगा हुआ था। उद्योग जगत को, हमारे किसानों को जो बड़ी मात्रा में निर्यात करते हैं, सभी को तकलीफ हो रही थी। हमारे मरीन एक्सपोर्टर्स, सी फूड एक्सपोर्टर्स भी दिक्कत में थे। वस्त्र क्षेत्र, टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर में भी आवश्यकता थी कि ये रेट कम हो। यहां तक कि कुछ दिन पहले तक विपक्ष के नेता भी हमें पूछ रहे थे कि कब होगा यूएस डील। और मैं हैरान हूं, ये डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स जो राहुल गांधी जी बार बार दिखाते हैं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कल इतनी बढ़िया डील भारत के लिए तय की है, जो इतने वर्ष, एक महीनों में हम तय नहीं कर पा रहे थे। उन्होंने अपने मित्रता के आधार पर भारत के हितों को प्राथमिकता देते हुए और भारत की तेज गति से बढ़ती हुई अर्थव्यवस्था को विश्व के सामने जिस प्रकार से पेश किया है, उसके चलते भारत को यह बढ़िया डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में मिली है। मैं पुनः एक बार उनके नेतृत्व के लिए, उनके मार्गदर्शन के लिए और जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने जनहित और देशहित को संभाला है, उसके लिए उनका धन्यवाद करता हूं। मित्रों, हम सब जानते हैं, पूरा देश जानता है किस प्रकार से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री हमेशा हमारे किसानों के लिए, पशुपालन के साथ जुड़े हुए हमारे भाई बहनों के लिए, डेयरी सेक्टर के लिए लगातार चिंतित रहते हैं, उनके हितों की संरक्षण करते हैं। यहां तक कि हमने देखा, इतना बड़ा ट्रेड डील, रीजनल कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप आरसेप, जिसमें कांग्रेस ने भारत को झोंक दिया था 2011-12 में, एक प्रकार से चाइना के साथ एफटीए करने का पाप राहुल गांधी ने किया था। उससे भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने देश को बचाया और आरसेप से जुड़ने से इनकार कर दिया, जिसके बाद पूरे देश में राहत की सब चारों ओर से सूचना आई थी। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने हमेशा एग्रीकल्चर और डेयरी, इन दोनों सेक्टर्स को संभाला है, उनके हितों को संभाला है और इस क्षेत्र में लोगों को उज्जवल भविष्य मिले और मौके मिले, आमदनी बढ़े, उसके लिए लगातार काम किया है। कभी उनके साथ, उनके हितों के साथ समझौता माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने नहीं होने दिया और मुझे खुशी है कि पूरा देश इस बात को समझता है, इस बात का उनको आकलन है। और यूएस ट्रेड डील में भी भारत के जो सेंसिटिव सेक्टर्स हैं, एग्रीकल्चर को लेके, डेयरी को लेके उनको संरक्षित किया गया है। हमने पूरे देश भर से आई हुई खबरों को देखा, चारों ओर उल्लास है। हमारे जितने लोग भारत के निर्यात में जुड़े हुए हैं, भारत के टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर से जुड़े हुए हैं, भारत में नई आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी लाकर यहाँ ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन्स, ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन्स का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं, ग्लोबल कैपेबिलिटी सेंटर्स लगाना चाहते हैं, निवेश करना चाहते हैं। अलग अलग क्षेत्र जो विशेषकर लेबर इंटेंसिव है, जिसमें लाखों करोड़ों लोगों को नौकरी का, रोजगार का साधन मिलता है, वो सब कितने उत्साहित हैं इस ट्रेड डील से। हमारे मछुआरे जो सी फूड एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, उन्होंने जिस प्रकार से सभी कोस्टल रीजन्स में खुशी मनाई है, ये दर्शाता है कि ये ट्रेड डील भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य का शुभ संकेत लेके आई है। मित्रों, मैं मानता हूं कि इस ट्रेड डील से हमारे जो सूक्ष्म, लघु और मध्यम उद्योग है, एमएसएमई सेक्टर है, हमारे इंजीनियरिंग सेक्टर के सभी प्लेयर्स, चाहे ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स बनाते हो, एयरक्राफ्ट पार्ट्स बनाते हो, इंजीनियरिंग के अलग अलग प्रकार के सामान अमेरिका में बेचने का काम करते हो या भविष्य में करना चाहें, हमारे टेक्सटाइल क्षेत्र, हमारा जेम एंड ज्वेलरी सेक्टर, हमारा लेदर गुड सेक्टर, हमारा मरीन गुड सेक्टर, सभी को ढेर सारे अवसर, ढेर सारे मौके इस ट्रेड डील के माध्यम से मिलेंगे। बड़ा दुर्भाग्य है कि राहुल गांधी जैसे नकारात्मक सोच रखने वाले नेता देश को आज गुमराह या भ्रमित करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैं घोर निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी की। झूठ और फरेब के नाम पे वो लोगों को गुमराह करना चाहते हैं। उनको देश की तरक्की से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। देश आगे बढ़ रहा है, विश्व की सबसे तेज गति से बढ़ने वाली अर्थव्यवस्था बना है, उनको उससे कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं है। उनका बस चले तो जिस प्रकार से यूपीए के राज में, कांग्रेस के राज में 10 वर्षों में उन्होंने भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को ध्वस्त कर दिया था, फ्रेजाइल 5 इकोनॉमी बना दी, महंगाई से लोगों को परेशान कर दिया, विकास यात्रा ठप कर दी। उनका बस चलेगा तो भारत को फिर एक बार उसी प्रकार से देखना चाहेंगे। और मुझे नहीं लगता भारत का एक भी व्यक्ति, एक भी नागरिक उनके इस भ्रामक सोच के साथ अपने आप को जोड़ सकता है। राहुल गांधी जी एक नकारात्मक सोच के प्रतीक है और उनके साथ जुड़कर डीएमके पार्टी के नेता हो, तृणमूल के नेता हो, चाहे वो समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता हो, इन सभी ने शायद भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य, हमारे युवा युवतियों को जो नए अवसर मिल रहे हैं, जो हमारा उद्योग तेज गति से आगे प्रगति करने के लिए तत्पर है, जो नए नए क्षेत्र, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो, सेमीकंडक्टर्स हो, क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स हो, नए नए अति आधुनिक जो क्षेत्र खुल रहे हैं, उसमें जो हमें यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका से मदद मिल सकती है, जो वहां से हमें सामान मिल सकता है, हाई क्वालिटी, हाई परफॉर्मेंस डेटा सेंटर्स भारत में आ सकते हैं, लाखों करोड़ रुपए का जो निवेश हम भारत में आकर्षित करने में जुटे हुए हैं। राहुल गांधी जी को क्या मिर्ची लगती है? राहुल गांधी जी को देश की प्रगति से नफरत है? राहुल गांधी जी को हमारी बहनों से, हमारे युवा युवतियों से कोई नाराजगी है जो उनका उज्जवल भविष्य उनसे देखा नहीं जाता है? उन्होंने जवाब देना पड़ेगा देश की जनता को कि इस नकारात्मक सोच के पीछे वो क्या चाहते हैं। और मित्रों, मैं पूरी तरीके से निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी और उनके सभी पार्टी और मित्र पक्ष के नेताओं का, जो इस प्रकार की ओछी सोच, नकारात्मक सोच फैलाने का पाप कर रहे हैं। वो भारत का उज्जवल भविष्य नहीं चाहते। वो हर प्रकार से राजनीतिक अराजकता फैलाने की कोशिश करते हैं। पार्लियामेंट में आपने उनका रवैया देखा, उनका सोच पूरे देश ने देखा। वो हमारे आर्मी के जवानों पर कम विश्वास करते हैं, हमारे सेना के ऊपर प्रश्न चिन्ह उठाते हैं, हमारे उद्योग जगत के भविष्य को खराब करना चाहते हैं। मुझे लगता है अब समय आ गया है कि देश की जनता, राहुल गांधी जी हो, ममता बनर्जी जी हो, चाहे तृणमूल के अभिषेक बैनर्जी हो या तमिलनाडु के एमके स्टालिन, उदयनिधि स्टालिन, बालू, श्री बालू जी, श्री मारन जी, कानिमोझी जी, कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के नेता, समाजवादी के अखिलेश यादव जी, देश की जनता इन सब नेताओं से माफी मांगेगी और उनको जवाबदेही ठहराएगी उनके इस नकारात्मक रवैये के लिए। वो जनहित के पूरी तरीके से खिलाफ है। वो देश की प्रगति, देश के उज्जवल भविष्य के खिलाफ है। अनाप शनाप आरोप लगा रहे हैं और जिस प्रकार के विषय उठा रहे हैं। एक नेता ने पूछा, अमेरिकी अध्यक्ष ने, अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति ने पहले क्यों ट्वीट किया? अरे भाई, रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ तो अमेरिका ने लगाया था, अमेरिका ने रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ कम करना था। तो जब उनको टैरिफ कम करना है और 50 से सीधा 18% इतना कम हुआ, तो उसकी जानकारी तो उधर से ही आएगी। स्वाभाविक है कि उनको टैरिफ कम करना है, तो उसकी जानकारी राष्ट्रपति माननीय डोनाल्ड ट्रंप जी देंगे। और इस मौके पे मैं माननीय राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप का भी धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मित्रता का सम्मान किया। उन्होंने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को विश्व का, हमारे स्पर्धा वाले देशों में सबसे अच्छा, बढ़िया ट्रेड डील दिया और आगे चल के भारत और अमेरिका के बीच संबंध और मजबूत हो और उज्जवल भविष्य दोनों देशों के लोगों का हम सुनिश्चित करें, उसकी शुभेच्छा दी। और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये जो ट्रेड डील की गई है, ये मात्र एक ट्रेड डील नहीं है, ये एक पड़ाव है भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य का। ये आगे आने वाले दिनों का शुभ संकेत है, जब भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था और तेजी से आगे बढ़ेगी। आज चारों ओर इसकी सराहना देखने को मिलती है। कल रात से ही जिस प्रकार से देश और विदेश में लोग इस डील की तारीफ कर रहे हैं, जिस प्रकार से चारों ओर लोग सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं भारत और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के बीच ये डील, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये जो जनता ने ठुकराए हुए नेता हैं, the failed group of disparate, disgruntled and rejected leaders of the Congress party and their friends in the DMK, Trinamool Congress, Communist parties, Samajwadi Party, the entire India Alliance leaders who have failed India very badly, who have failed Bharat in all respects, will be rejected by the people of India, who will teach them a lesson for their negativity and for their anti-India, anti-national thinking. Friends, we stand for the people of India. We stand for national interest. And today, 140 crore Indians are celebrating a trade deal which is under final stages of detailing between the negotiating teams of both countries. We will be shortly issuing a joint statement by both countries along with the details which we will be shortly inking between the United States of America and India. And as soon as the final understanding of the deal is inked and the joint statement is finalized, technical processes are completed, full details will be shared. But I can assure the people of India, I can assure 140 crore brothers and sisters that this is a deal that will make every Indian proud, that will protect the interest of every Indian and provide huge opportunities for all the people of India, and will protect the sensitive sectors, the interests of our agriculture and our dairy sectors in full respect, opening up huge opportunities for our labor-intensive sectors, export sectors in textiles, plastics, apparel, home decor, leather and footwear, gems and jewelry, organic chemicals, rubber goods, machineries, so many products, aircraft components. This is truly a deal that every Indian can be proud of. India is a fast-growing economy. We are the fastest growing large economy in the country, in the world. India's demand is continuously increasing. Our demand for ICT products, our demand for data center equipment, our demand for high quality technology and innovation, our demand for raw materials is continuously rising. And in that situation, this deal also opens up opportunities for India to get the best in class, world-class technologies to further power the India growth story, the Indian economy.